We made a pact at 15 to marry at 30. Today I'm a loser, and she's flying high in NYC. Tonight I went to the spot. The air smelled of cut grass and damp earth. It was August 14th. The suburbs were quiet. It was the kind of heavy, wet silence that sits over a town at 11:55 p.m. on a Tuesday. Two shadows sat on the swing set at Miller's Park. The chains were rusted. They groaned, a low, metallic complaint, with every slight shift in weight. Leo was 15. He was a collection of sharp elbows and knobby knees, wearing a band t-shirt that hung off his shoulders like a sheet. He sat on the rubber seat, dragging the toe of his sneaker through the wood chips, carving meaningless patterns into the mulch. Maya sat on the swing next to him. She was the same age, but inhabited her space differently. She sat with her back straight, possessed of a natural, easy posture. Even in the moonlight, she was striking. Her hair was a bright, chemical blonde, a bottle-dye job she had done in her bathroom sink that contrasted sharply with her eyes. Her eyes were dark, almost black, shaped like almonds and tilted slightly upwards at the corners. They were eyes that seemed to absorb the light rather than reflect it. Her cheekbones were high and wide, giving her face a delicate, sculpted look that caught the shadows. 30 is old, Maya said. She kicked her legs, sending herself swinging back a few inches. It's ancient, Leo agreed. He looked at his digital watch. The green numbers glowed in the dark. 5 minutes left. Until what? Until I'm 16, Leo said. Then 18. Then dead. Maya laughed. It was a loud sound that echoed off the metal slide. She tilted her head back, exposing a long, pale neck. You're so dramatic, Leo. You're going to live forever. You're going to be a famous game developer and live in Tokyo. And you're going to be president, Leo said. Marketing, she corrected. I'm going to run New York City. I'm going to wear suits and fire people. They sat in silence for a moment. A car drove past on the main road. Its headlights swept across the playground, illuminating the graffiti on the slide for a second before the dark returned. I don't want to be alone, Leo said quietly. He didn't look at her. He looked at his sneakers. When we're 30. I bet everyone is married by 30. It sounds boring. Maya stopped swinging. She turned the Dr. Pepper bottle in her hands. Her fingers were long and slender. Okay, she said. Let's make a pact. What kind of pact? The desperate kind, she said, grinning. Her smile crinkled the corners of her dark eyes. If we get to 30 and we're both losers. I'm not going to be a loser, Leo protested. If we are single, Maya corrected. If we are single and alone on your 30th birthday, we meet right here, midnight, and we get married. Leo looked at her. Her hair was messy, the blonde strands falling over her forehead. She had a smudge of dirt on her chin, right below her full lower lip. His chest felt tight. Married? Leo asked. Like for real? Why not? Maya shrugged. We already like the same pizza. That's half of marriage, right? Pepperoni and jalapeno. Leo looked at his watch. 11:59 p.m. Okay, Leo said. Deal. Deal, Maya said. She held out her hand. They shook hands. Her palm was sticky from the soda, but her grip was surprisingly strong. The digital watch beeped. Midnight. Happy birthday, old man, Maya said. Time moved in bursts of noise and long stretches of silence. 5 years passed. Then 10. Then 14. Leo did not become a game developer in Tokyo. He went to state college. He dropped out for a semester when his dad got sick. He finished his degree online. He got a job at a mid-sized insurance firm doing IT support. He spent his days in a basement office that smelled of toner and floor wax. He fixed printers. He reset passwords for people who drove cars worth more than his life's earnings. He lived in a studio apartment above a laundromat. The apartment always smelled of dryer sheets and other people's detergent. He ate ramen. He played video games until 2 a.m. because the silence of the room was too loud to sleep in. He tried to date. There was Sarah from HR, who liked hiking. They dated for 6 months. It was fine. Then there was a nurse named Emily. They were together for a year. She was kind. She made him dinner. But every time he looked at her, he felt a vague sense of guilt, like he was waiting for a bus that had already passed. He broke it off. He told her he wasn't ready. The truth was, he was stuck in a waiting room he had built for himself. Maya went to New York. She did exactly what she said she would. Leo watched her life through the blue light of his phone screen. At 22, Maya was in a graduation gown, holding champagne. Her hair was professionally dyed now, a sleek, expensive honey blonde that fell in waves over her shoulders. 500 likes. At 24, Maya was in a high-rise office, wearing a sharp black suit. The suit was tailored, hugging her curves in a way that looked powerful. Her makeup was flawless, accentuating the distinctive shape of her eyes. She posted it with the caption, "The grind never stops." At 26, Maya was in Paris. Maya was in Tulum. Maya was with a guy who had perfect teeth and wore boat shoes. She looked like a different species, polished, golden, unreachable. Leo stopped texting her when he was 25. He felt like a ghost haunting a person who was still alive. He convinced himself he was doing her a favor. She was a rocket ship. He was the extra weight. So he let go. He stopped liking the posts. He stopped sending the birthday texts. He faded into the background, becoming just another name on her follower list. And then, eventually, a stranger. The night of his 30th birthday was humid. The air felt heavy, like a wet wool blanket. Leo sat on the edge of his mattress. His apartment was a mess. A pile of laundry sat on the chair. An empty pizza box from 3 days ago was on the counter. He looked at his phone. 11:15 p.m. No texts. His mom had called earlier, leaving a voicemail singing "Happy Birthday" off-key. That was it. He felt a physical ache in his chest. It wasn't pain, it was emptiness. It was the realization that he was exactly what 15-year-old Maya had feared. He was 30. He was single. He was alone. He stood up. He walked to the fridge. He took out a six-pack of cheap beer. The bottles clinked together. He put on his shoes. They were gray sneakers, worn at the heel. He walked out of the apartment, down the stairs, and onto the street. The town hadn't changed much. The insurance building was still there. The gas station was still there. He walked for 20 minutes. The sidewalk turned into gravel. The street lights became fewer. He reached Miller's Park. It looked smaller now. The slide looked dangerous, not tall. The wood chips had been replaced with black rubber matting, but the swings were the same. Leo walked over. He sat on the left swing. The rubber seat squeezed his hips. He was too big for it now. He opened a beer. The hiss of escaping gas was sharp in the quiet night. He took a sip. It was lukewarm and bitter. He checked his phone. 11:58 p.m. "Happy birthday to me," Leo whispered to the empty playground. He closed his eyes. He thought about the pact. It was a stupid joke. A fantasy made up by two kids who didn't know that life was just a series of bills and disappointments. He imagined Maya in New York. She was probably at a rooftop bar. She was probably drinking something that cost $20. She probably didn't even remember the name of this town. 11:59 p.m. Leo tilted his head back. He looked at the stars. They were dim, washed out by the light pollution of the shopping center a mile away. He waited for the clock to turn. He waited to be officially 30. Crunch. Leo froze. It was the sound of a shoe on gravel. Crunch. Crunch. He lowered the beer. He looked toward the entrance of the park. A figure was walking toward him. It was a woman. She was wearing gray sweatpants that sat low on her hips and an oversized hoodie that said Yale on the front. Her hair, still that striking blonde but now showing dark roots, was pulled up in a messy, chaotic bun. Loose strands fell around her face, sticking to her skin in the humidity. She was holding a bottle of cheap champagne in one hand and 2 red plastic cups in the other. She stopped 10 feet away. She was breathing hard, her chest rising and falling beneath the heavy fabric of the sweatshirt. Leo stared. He blinked, thinking the alcohol had hit him fast. "Maya," he croaked. His voice was rusty. Maya bent over, putting her hands on her knees to catch her breath. She held up a finger. "Wait, 1 second. Cardio is not my thing." She stood up. She walked the rest of the way and stood in front of his swing. She looked different. She wasn't the waifish teenager anymore, nor was she the polished mannequin from Instagram. She had filled out. Her face was fuller, softer, though those high cheekbones still cut a sharp line in the moonlight. Her thighs touched as she walked, a softness to her movement that spoke of exhaustion rather than agility. She looked at him. Her eyes were the same, dark, almond pools that seemed to absorb the light. But there were heavy bags under them now, purple bruises of fatigue against her pale skin. "You started drinking without me?" Maya said. She pointed at his beer with a manicured hand that had a chipped nail. Rude. Leo didn't move. He felt paralyzed. "What are you doing here?" Maya checked her wrist. She wasn't wearing a fancy watch. She was wearing a Fitbit. "It is midnight," Maya said. It is August 15th. We had an appointment. That was 15 years ago, Leo said. We were kids. A contract is a contract, Leo. I work in corporate. We take these things seriously. She sat on the swing next to him. It groaned loudly under her weight. Happy birthday, she said softly. Leo looked at her. I don't understand. You live in the city. You have a life. Maya began to struggle with the cork of the champagne bottle. I have a life, yes. I also have a mother who called me 3 times today to remind me that poor Leo was turning 30, and wasn't it sad that we lost touch? The cork popped. Foam spilled over her hand. She swore and quickly poured the bubbling liquid into the red cups. She handed one to Leo. Also, she said, taking a sip, I really hope you aren't secretly married. That would make this incredibly awkward. I'm not married, Leo said. He looked at the champagne in the red cup. I'm the opposite of married. I fix printers, and I live above a laundromat. Classy, Maya said. I like the smell of dryer sheets. Leo put his cup down on the black rubber mat. He felt the alcohol mixing with the sudden rush of adrenaline. He needed to leave. He needed to get out of this before she really looked at him. You should go, Leo said. Maya paused, the cup halfway to her lips. Excuse me. You shouldn't be here, Leo said, staring at his sneakers. I saw your posts, Maya. You're an executive. You're you. And I'm just some guy who couldn't even keep up a text conversation. You did stop texting, Maya said. Her voice wasn't angry, just flat. I thought I did something wrong. You didn't, Leo said quickly. It wasn't you. Then what? Leo looked at the playground dust on his shoes. You were in Paris. Then you were in Tulum. You looked like you were on a different planet. I was just stuck. He shrugged, a jerky motion. I didn't have anything cool to say, so I just stopped saying anything. Maya didn't respond immediately. She swirled the champagne in her cup. Paris was 12 hours, she said finally. I saw the Eiffel Tower from a cab window while my boss screamed at me on the phone. Leo looked up. What? And the guy in Tulum? Maya continued, staring at the bubbles. He cheated on me with his CrossFit instructor. I found out via a tagged photo. She took a long drink, draining the cup. I got laid off 3 weeks ago, Leo. The firm merged. Marketing was redundant. I'm 30. I'm living in my parents' guest room because I can't afford my apartment, and I'm drinking cheap champagne in a park. She looked at him. The moonlight caught the sharp angle of her jaw and the exhaustion in her dark eyes. So, she said, a dry smile touching her lips, I think I qualify as a loser, which means the pact is valid. Leo let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. The tension in his chest loosened, just a fraction. You're living at your parents'? Ideally, no. Currently, yes. She kicked his sneaker with hers. So, are we getting married? Because my mom has a Pinterest board ready. Leo picked up his cup. He clinked it against hers. I don't want to marry you tonight, Leo said. You look terrible. Those sweatpants are tragic. Maya laughed. It was the same laugh from 15 years ago. Loud, echoing. Her eyes crinkled into crescents. I don't want to marry you either, she said. Your beer smells cheap. But I am hungry. Is the diner still open? It is, Leo said, but the food is still garbage. Perfect, Maya said, standing up and brushing the back of her pants. Let's go. They made a new agreement over a plate of soggy fries at the 24-hour diner. The diner smelled of burnt coffee and grease. 1 week, Maya said, dipping a fry into the brown gravy. She ate with a ferocity that surprised him. I'm in town for 1 week to figure out my next move. We hang out every day, like we used to. A trial run, Leo said, watching the way the fluorescent light caught the gold tones in her hair. Exactly. If at the end of the week we still like each other, we discussed the pact. The week began the next morning. The second day brought them to the local arcade. It was a cavernous, dark room that smelled of old carpet and ozone. Half the machines were broken. Maya walked through the rows of games like she owned the place. She wasn't wearing the baggy hoodie today. She wore a fitted white t-shirt and jeans that hugged her hips, showing off a figure that was curvier and softer than the girl he remembered. She stopped at the skee-ball machine. She was fiercely competitive. Leo watched her lean over the lane. She bit her lip as she aimed. When she threw the ball, her whole body moved with it. You're rusty, Leo said, leaning against the machine next to her. He could smell her perfume, something warm, like vanilla and amber. "Shut up," she said, brushing a stray lock of blonde hair out of her dark eyes. "I'm calibrating." She threw the ball, so hard it bounced off the rim and hit him in the chest. "See," she said, grinning. "Target acquired." By the time they left, they had won enough tickets for a single prize, a cheap, black plastic spider ring. Maya slid it onto her ring finger. Her fingers were long and elegant against the cheap plastic. "Engaged," she joked. Leo looked at her hand, then up at her face. His stomach flipped. On the fourth day, they drove Leo's rusted Honda Civic to the old water tower. They climbed the chain-link fence, groaning as their knees popped. "We are too old for this," Leo whispered, helping her over. He grabbed her hand. Her skin was warm. As he pulled her up, her body pressed against his for a fleeting second. She felt solid. Real. They sat at the base of the tower. "Why didn't you call?" Maya asked. The wind whipped strands of blonde hair across her face. Leo picked at a flake of rust. "It just got quiet. I felt like I was watching a movie of your life, and I wasn't in the cast anymore." Maya turned to look at him. "I thought you hated me, or that I became too much." "You were never too much," Leo said. "The town was just too quiet without you." She shifted closer. She took his hand. She didn't let go for the ride home. The fifth day was when the line blurred. They were at Leo's apartment, watching a movie. Outside, a summer storm had broken, rain hammering against the single window. The apartment was dim, lit only by the TV screen. They were sitting on the floor, leaning against the couch. They were sharing a bottle of wine. Maya laughed at something on the screen. She leaned her head on Leo's shoulder. He could smell the rain on her hair. He turned to look at her. She looked back. The laughter faded from her face, replaced by a question. Leo didn't think. He leaned in. When they kissed, it wasn't tentative. It was a collision of 15 years of silence. They moved to the mattress on the floor. The sheets were gray cotton. The room was cold, but her skin was hot. Leo traced the line of her spine, the curve of her hip. She wasn't the polished executive in the photos. She was Maya. She made sounds he remembered from his dreams. Later, in the middle of the night, Leo woke up. The rain had stopped. The room was silent. Maya was asleep next to him. Her blonde hair fanned out over his gray pillowcase, her breathing slow and deep. Her arm was thrown over her eyes. Leo lay there, staring at the water stain on the ceiling. The adrenaline of the moment had faded, replaced by a cold, sinking dread. He looked at her. She was beautiful. Even in her sleep, she looked like she belonged somewhere else. Somewhere expensive. Somewhere vibrant. His brain started to whisper. She's just vulnerable, it said. She lost her job. She's staying in her parents' guest room. She feels like a failure. So she came back to the one place where she's a star. He looked at his own hands. Rough. Dry. The hands of a guy who fixes printers. This is a rebound, the voice continued. This is just nostalgia. It's a week-long vacation from her real life. Once she gets back on her feet, she'll remember who she is. She's untouchable, successful Maya. And you're just a safety net. You're the comfort food she eats when she's sad. He rolled away from her, facing the wall. His chest hurt. He knew, with absolute certainty, that she would leave. And he knew that when she did, this memory would destroy him. The sixth day was a Saturday. It was awkward. They ordered pizza, pepperoni and jalapeno, and sat on the floor again. But this time, they sat apart. Maya was wearing one of his old flannel shirts. It hung off her shoulders. She looked around the room, chewing slowly. Leo, this place is depressing, she said. It's functional, he said defensively. He didn't look at her. He couldn't. It's gray, she said. Everything is gray. The sheets, the walls, even the rug. I like gray. You like hiding, she said. You're hiding in this town. You're hiding in this job. Not everyone can conquer New York, he said, his voice sharper than he intended. I didn't conquer it, she said softly. It chewed me up. She turned to face him. The shirt slipped off one shoulder. She looked beautiful, but she also looked sad. She was waiting for him to say something, to bridge the gap that had opened up overnight. But Leo stayed silent. He stayed safe. I leave tomorrow, she said. Leo looked at the floor. Yeah, I know. Sunday morning was gray. It was raining again. Leo drove Maya to her parents' house. Her suitcase was in the back seat. The wheels rattled every time they hit a pothole. The car was silent. The radio was off. The week was over. Leo gripped the steering wheel. His knuckles were white. He wanted to say something. He wanted to say, stay. He wanted to say, I love you. But the insecurity was a wall he couldn't climb. She was just on a rebound. His brain repeated, a broken record. She lost her job. She was vulnerable. This week was just nostalgia. Once she gets back on her feet, she'll remember that she's Maya, beautiful blonde, exotic Maya who belongs in Paris and New York, and you're just Leo, the IT guy. She'll leave again, and it will hurt more this time. He pulled into her driveway. The engine idled. Well, Leo said, staring out the windshield. We survived the week. Maya looked at him. She was waiting. Her body was turned toward him. Her dark eyes were searching his face, looking for a crack in the armor. She wanted him to fight. She wanted him to acknowledge what happened between them. Yeah, she said quietly. We did. Leo tapped the steering wheel. Good luck. With the job hunt. And everything. Maya's face fell. A shutter closed behind her eyes. Her posture stiffened. The vulnerability vanished, replaced by the armor she wore in those Instagram photos. Thanks, she said. Her voice was cold. Safe travels, I guess. Even if it's just down the street. She opened the door. She grabbed her suitcase. She walked up the driveway without looking back. Leo watched her go. He watched the rain darken the shoulders of her gray coat. He waited until she was inside the house. Then he put the car in reverse. He drove away. He went back to his apartment. He walked up the stairs. He unlocked the door. The apartment smelled of dryer sheets and the faint, lingering scent of vanilla perfume and sex. It was gray. It was empty. The plastic spider ring was sitting on the counter where she had left it. Leo sat on the floor. He put his head in his hands. You idiot, he whispered.